Hello, you lovely listeners. I'm Amy. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast, where we will delve into the minds of the business people we have met in the process of launching our first card game. We will be uncovering their secrets to success, their biggest mistakes, and sharing the key lessons they have picked up en route. So, if you're looking for an engaging chinwag mixed with business insights and a good pinch of fun, you're in the right place. Let's have a really good conversation. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast. Today, I am joined by master life strategist and coach, well-being specialist, best-selling author of 8 books and keynote speaker, Shannah Kennedy.
Amy, thank you. I'm looking forward to our chat today.
I am so delighted that you agreed to jump on my podcast because I've just finished your book, Elevate. And the whole way throughout it, I'm like, I need to speak to this lady. I need to connect. So I really am grateful for your time today.
Fantastic. And we've connected before in the past, so it's great to connect again. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Now, you've got over 20 years transformative life planning and coaching experience. What led you to choose a life of coaching as your career path?
Yeah, it's interesting because that was 20 years ago when nobody had even heard about coaching. And it was like, what the hell does that mean? And I tried to explain it as like a personal trainer, but for your life. And it was a really big concept for people to get their head around. And the reason I studied it was because I was so burnt out myself. I had chronic fatigue syndrome. I had full depression. I'd married my job. I didn't know who I was without my job. And I had to reinvent myself to have longevity in my life and sustainability without burning out and try and have a career again and a family. And I really didn't know how I was going to do that. So I employed a coach. And that's actually what opened the door to me. And then I thought about, I'd worked in corporate sport and athletes don't know who they are without their job either. And so when they retired, usually at 28, 29, they went into a big depression because nobody cared about them after sport. So, we need a life plan. We need to see the big picture that we're on this ride for a short time, which is the job that you do, whether it's play cricket for Australian cricket team or you're the local barista. They're all just rides, and life is a playground, and our jobs are the rides that we get on and off. And really getting the perspective going for people, I became incredibly passionate about giving people a life plan in 20-year blocks. So, 30 to 50, 50 to 70, and 70 to 90. We've got 3 big blocks that we can become the driver in, and different seasons in life with different types of goals and different types of habits and different types of visions for ourselves. So hence was born the life plan.
Wow. And that is amazing just to hear that journey of how you've come onto that, because it is something, as you said, you're just perhaps on this journey. And I guess when you go through your earlier years of school, college, perhaps university, feels like it's slightly mapped out for you and people are directing. And then it's next about getting a job. And I think obviously back in the day, our parents' generations, the job was for life. But now, obviously, over, previous years, people do chop and change. And it's a lot more about thinking of where you want to go.
That's exactly right. We have a society plan really to 50, but there is definitely one that takes you through school. And then in your 20s is about collecting experiences and finding out who you are. And by 30, you actually need to start creating a plan for yourself of wealth creation and starting your super and thinking about the career and starting the family and where you're investing your money and what's happening with your health. So it is the time to get in the driver's seat, but nobody was, absolutely no. And the world just changed so quickly because even when I was 30, there was no internet yet. I'm really showing my age because I'm 53. I'm 53 now. So really the world has changed so much and become so fast that you need now to make sure you are the driver, to block out a lot of the noise and stay focused on what's best for you and what's best for your life. Hence, we all need a life plan.
And as a coach, you must speak to a lot of people and ask a lot of questions. What do you consider the essential communication skills are for being an effective coach?
I think that a lot of people think that they want to be a coach because they want to help people. Whereas being an effective coach is actually not helping people, it's providing a very safe environment and place and space for them to unpack their thoughts. And the coach's job is to be the mirror and say, is that 100% true? Or what is the purpose of doing that? And what would serve you better? And what habit would you change to create that change? And how do you want to feel? And what is the outcome that you want here? And truly try to get them to find clarity. So I always say coaching is about finding clarity, purpose, and direction for your future and owning it. And for a lot of people, I think they go, oh, just do this and just do this. And that's actually not what coaching is about. Coaching is about really understanding and feeling who you're working with and asking the questions that appeal to them. There is no set formula. I don't have a formula. It's really about asking, but why? How does that work for you? Is that really bringing you joy? What change could we make here? And really helping them to unpack in a safe environment with no judgment is very important for a lot of people because they've got no one to talk to who doesn't judge them.
And you were even just providing some examples there, because one of my next questions was going to be, what type of questions have you found that are effective in, unlocking a client's potential? But perhaps you've just been highlighting a few there of that, asking that why and getting that person to ponder more.
And also, my first question is always, who are you without your job and what are your values? And that's a stunner question, So a lot of people do not know who they are without their job because they define themselves by their title. And I'm like, well, no, that's what you do, but that's not who you are. So we need to build the person, and that starts from our values. And when we work for our values in the business of self, then we can turn up to the job, whatever that may be, the best version of ourselves. So I'm very into let's build the person who turns up to the job.
Wow. Can you tell if you feel like you're asking a client questions and they're perhaps lying or avoiding responding truthfully? Have you started to pick up on that from clients?
Well, yes, because I've been coaching for 20 years and over 1,000 clients I've had, I can pick it up pretty much in an instant. But once you start, once you start digging, they dig their own hole, with why do you think that? And how does that work for you? And you can hear that, is that just a story that you're telling yourself? Because I don't think that's true. So I feel like that sort of gets uncovered very quickly.
Yeah. And listening must obviously be a very crucial skill. Can you share any specific techniques that perhaps help you to listen to clients effectively? Because I can imagine more so perhaps when we're talking to friends or family and you might be sharing something. We jump in with, the advice, I think this, and you can't help but feeling you're solving somebody's problems for them. But perhaps actually, you're not listening. So how do you keep in check that I'm listening, I'm focused on this person?
For me, it's through breath. So really using the breath to be very grounded and really getting into the listening. And really sitting with the person and having that feeling of what are they trying to tell me? What are they not telling me? Where is the silence here? So I'm a big fan of silence and people sitting in the conversation and not rushing through it with, let's just fix it by doing this. Let's really sit in it and make sure it's right. And when people listen, they often don't listen because they're thinking of the next 3 steps rather than just being really present. Because when we're listening, somebody might tell us something, and when we give them some space, they might tell the next 3 or 4 sentences and the next 3 or 4 layers in like a babushka doll. And what happens in the real world here is no one gets past level 1. They're really surface level conversations. But when we give them the silence to go, and actually, I think this, and actually, I think that, we get inside that babushka doll to the core of what's going on. So the slower we are as a coach, actually, the better.
That's a brilliant insight. And actually, that really resonates with me, even just observing my toddler over dinner a few weeks ago. I was asking his questions, and currently he's getting up through the night, and it transpired that he's, scared of monsters. But I've noticed when we're talking to him, it's us stopping and it's giving him the time and space. And you can see is that little cogs are going round in his mind. Yeah. And, I'll say to my husband, oh, just wait. He's thinking of what he's going to say. Yeah. And yeah, you can see just by giving him the space, his articulation then comes out, and you can ask that next question. And yeah, we then, uncovered that, perhaps he was, monsters coming into the room. And yeah, perhaps observed then in our current world as adults, and we're rushing from pillar to post, your conversations, you don't really give other people the chance to get their full words in often.
And often, something I always tell mums is never ask your child, how was your day? Oh. And what happens is the poor child gets in the car, how was your day? What did you eat? Who did you play with? What did you learn? How was you, and the poor child's just survived the big world, wants to get in the car and have some silence. So I always picked up my kids and just said hello and drove off. And sometimes they'd be quiet all the way home. And then I'd say, and how are you today? Because they need to decompress first. But we attack these people as soon as we see them with questions. And it's like you've just done a massive presentation, and your husband comes or your friend comes and picks you up, and then they ask you 1,000 questions. And you're just going, no, I want to talk about it, but I actually just can't. I just need to take a breath. I just need to decompress. I'll talk about it later because I enjoy it then. And we just don't give that to other people. And we really need to. So it's an important skill is just to stop and listen and give people safety in your presence rather than feeling attacked the whole time. Or it's nice to be interested and ask questions, of course, but pace yourself a little bit. And I think people just ask far too many questions too quickly.
Yeah. And without even knowing, you almost summarize the exact insight of why we produce the kids pack of the cards, because the insight being that, people fall to that narrative of how was school today? What did you do? And for the child, it can just feel like this interrogation. So the questions that we have in the kids pack is to inspire more that creative communication, creative thinking, gratitude and such, without this focus on tell me what you did today.
A lot of that conversation is actually better when we're out walking with them, or we're doing the dishes, or we're setting the table, or they're actually preoccupied with a meaning, just a little task, is we ask the question then. And then it's really joyful for them to answer rather than just sitting there saying, okay, tell me that, tell me that, tell me this, tell me that. If you're going for a walk around the block, or folding the washing with them, that's when you go to your pack and say, oh, what do you think you're grateful for today? They've got time to think about it, and it's not so intense. So that's how I've parented anyway, and that's how I work with my clients too.
Yeah. And obviously, I mentioned at the start of this, I've recently finished the book Elevate, and I do almost feel like it's the modern day Bible, not non-religious content, but, it provides so much guidance and really inspires and invokes that opportunity to reflect on ourselves as individuals. And, there's quite a few exercises and prompts through there. And I will admit, it almost feels a little bit self-indulgent, and, the guilt is there immediately to think, oh, I'll actually just spend some time thinking about myself. But what is your thoughts about, taking the time to practice, self-questioning?
I love that. Well, Elevate is co-written with my other business partner, Colleen Callender, who is the CEO of Sports Girl. And we always say everything comes back to self. And for me as a coach, it's saying to people that the most important relationship you'll ever have in the world is the one with yourself, the one with your inner critic, the one with your visionary, and really developing the skills to have a very healthy, kind, grateful relationship with self, with the mirror work, the affirmation work, the journaling. That's what fills our tank and our soul, and that's how we show up as the best version of ourselves, is really working with self to say, who do I want to be in the future, and what are the skills that I want to learn and master, and how do I want to show up for my family? How do I want to show up for my clients? Okay, well, how can I frame that in my mind, and what are the words that work for me? And they should be up on the wall. So my mirror is covered in words. Then my mirror has my own set of values on them. The mirror says, what is the gift of today? The great question is, what is the gift in today? What is the gift in being late? What is the gift in the flight got cancelled? What is the gift of COVID? Like, look for and train the brain to find the joy, because life is a playground. We are on this planet to play for however long we get. So let's find the joy, and let's create great relationships around us with great conversations and great questions, but also let's bring them into self, because happiness is actually an inside job, as we know.
Yeah. And why do you think tools and techniques such as journaling and vision boarding, why are they so powerful?
They're powerful because they train the brain. Like, things like journaling means we can unpack our thoughts, and when we read them, like, a lot of people don't write their goals. And I say, write your goals, have a look at them. Do you actually like them? Because we can tell ourselves a whole lot of stuff, but when we read it in our own handwriting, it's going to say, oh, no, I don't even want that. It helps us to find honesty. It helps us unpack our thoughts, and then we can look at them on a page and organize them. So the power of journaling is important. The power of affirmation and power words and putting them up somewhere is training the brain on how we want to feel. And today will be easy and effortless, and find the joy, or I get to do this. I don't have to do this. I get to do this is on the mirror, because every time I unstacked the dishwasher or made a school lunchbox, I had to say, I get to do this. Not I have to, because I hate doing them. So it's like, I get to do this. Like, find the gratitude that you get to make a lunchbox and you get to wash clothes of your family, and it just changes your life. It actually just changes your experience here on the planet when we train the brain. And we need vision boards. We need the affirmations. Life is so busy, so messy. There's so many external influences that this inside job we can start controlling.
And before we go on to the questions I've got to you from the pack, I mean, when you embarked on this journey 20 odd years ago, did this just all sort of sound like woo-woo, if you will? If I think of my parents' generations, and, I just cannot imagine they've ever contemplated this sort of self-worth.
Oh, I am sure my parents go into the bathroom and go, whoa, what's all over the walls here? And, we've got stickers all over the mirror, and there's 3 vision boards in my office, and I've got my vision board kits that are in Big W at the moment. And it was woo-woo. However, when I really thought about high performance and high performing athletes, and I come from a sport background working in corporate sport, they were all doing that already. High performing humans trained the brain, had vision boards, had words up there. They were all doing it. It was just the general population weren't. So I saw it as a vehicle to say, how can I bring this, the life plan, these skill sets and these tools that high performing humans use, to everyday people? And how can I make sure I'm doing them myself first? So I studied them, I mastered them. I've had coaches my whole time coaching me, fine-tuning me to be a high-performing human, and have high-performance health and high-performance career and an awesome family and a great marriage, and really fine-tuning myself and the relationship that I have with myself.
That's brilliant. How do you manage it all? Because you've got 8 books, you do a lot of, speaking, workshops, one-on-one clients. You and Colleen also have some, walk around the world experiences that you do. So from the outside, when I look in your world on, Instagram and your website, I'm like, gosh, she looks a very busy lady.
Well, I don't feel busy because I feel like I'm pacing. I always talk to my clients like they're an athlete, and we're all running the marathon of life, and you need to pace yourself. So in between the busy is a lot of breathing. So breathing has become my superpower. I take diaphragmatic deep breaths all day. I think when we were speaking earlier, I said to you, I sit in my car a lot and breathe. So whenever I get somewhere, I don't just jump out of the car, I take 3 breaths. Whenever I wash my hands, I take 3 breaths. Living so consciously and so intently, because that's how you manage chronic fatigue as well. So, really being present to what's happening in your body and around you and your load, and learning to pace yourself is the most important thing that we can do.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much for just sharing all of that, wisdom, really. I've really enjoyed what you've shared with me so far. So now I'm actually going to put you a little bit on the spot, because you're an expert in everything that you've just shared with us. But I've now picked you out 3 cards from our Really Good Conversations for Kids pack. So question number 1. If you could switch lives with any person for a day, who would it be and why?
I think it would be someone like, definitely be a singer, because I'd love to be on stage, but I want to be a backup singer, not the front singer. The 3 people at the back that just have their nice little dance moves and they're backup singers. So I'd probably say someone like Vika Bull, who's a backup singer, because I want to go on stage, I want to tour around, I want to sing, but I don't want all the pressure. So I think something like that would be amazing.
Wow, that's brilliant. And I've never contemplated that, because they are probably the only people that are fully enjoying the show in some respects. Because they don't have as much pressure as the lead performance. And actually they get all of the fun bits of perhaps touring and being on stage without a load of the media attention. And
it's so good.
Oh, I so could have done that as a career path. I mean, as I was growing up, my idol was, Tina Turner. So I did envisage at one point, but I've got to say, I don't think I ever really went down the singing training path to actually
me neither. But that was every time I go to a concert, I actually love looking at the backup singers going, look at the ride that they're on. It's so good for them.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Question number 2. If you could only eat one type of food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pasta.
Oh.
I love carbohydrates. Love. So I could just live on pasta, I think. And it makes me feel fabulous.
Nice. Very tasty. Do you have a particular favourite style of pasta dish?
Oh, anything with carbohydrates in it, I love.
That is refreshing to hear, because over the years we've lived in the world of, I've got to cut out the carbs and everything. So it's nice to hear you embracing them.
Yeah, I love them.
And I'm going to give you another quite creative one. So question number 3. If you could create your own theme park, what would it be called and what would be the main attraction?
That's a big question. It would be called... the balloon park.
Yeah, cool.
And the main attraction would be definitely the Ferris wheel. Is seeing the big picture of life. Like, I'm just tying this all to how I think. And I have here, because I have vision boards around me all the time, is I've got here a little card with my lady who's got a bunch of balloons, and she's running around the playground of life, I call it. And she sits on my laptop here to remind me to approach every client, every proposal, every podcast, every interview, every to-do list, get to-do list with joy. So she is the whole thing is called Joy. So maybe the park is called Joy.
Wow, I love that. I think you could really create an amazing sort of wellness style theme park. If we think typically the theme parks are, you think of it as for the kids. So it's like we need the adult version now.
Yeah, and maybe the Ferris wheel is really about slowing down, and just taking it in.
Brilliant. Oh, they were excellent answers. Thank you so much. And the last question that I ask all of our guests is, if you could ask anybody a question, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you ask them?
I love how you just spring these. I would... So what comes to mind is I've got a couple of role models, which is Roger Federer and Matthew McConaughey. And I would ask both of them, they both think about their future as their 10-year-old, a better version of themselves. And Matthew McConaughey's Oscar speech was his role model is his 10-year-older self.
Ah.
Right? To always think about yourself 10 years later and the bigger, better version of you. So I would say to both of them, who are you in 10 years' time? And how do you want to feel in 10 years' time? I would love to know those answers.
Brilliant. That is amazing. Thank you so much for all of your time today and insights. Really loved speaking to you. Where can our listeners find out a little bit more about you, about your books and other activities that you have going on?
Yeah, well, there's lots and lots of free downloads on the shannahkennedy.com website. There's free screensavers and vision boards to train your brain. So that's an exciting way to start. For those that are interested in Elevate or walking the world with us, it's humanelevation.com.au. So there's a couple of places to find me, and there's lots of free stuff and resources around.
Amazing. And I'll include all those links as well in the show notes for this podcast. So thank you so much for your time today. It's really been insightful and enlightening.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. It was great chatting to you, Amy. Great to reconnect after all these years.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information on today's guests. And if really good conversations are your thing, hit subscribe and join us next time for more business journeys, insights, and banter.